Shabbat Shalom. I have a confession to make. I am a gadget guy. I love gadgets, much to the dismay of my wife, Janet. I love reading the technology section in newspapers, in magazines. I love to see what's coming out next. When the Sharper Image still had stores, I used to take our kids there for an outing when they were little. But truth be told, I was the one who really wanted to go there. And sometimes I succumb to Amazon, and when those boxes arrive and my wife looks at me, in the words of Ricky Ricardo, I have some splaining to do. This morning I want to share with you some amazing inventions that most likely you've never heard of, nor will you be able to purchase them at Best Buy or Amazon. But they are each remarkable. Rewalk is the name of one of these inventions. It's a wearable, robotic exoskeleton that enables individuals with spinal cord injuries to stand upright, walk, turn, climb, and descend on stairs. Upsee is another invention. It's a mobility device that enables children with neuromuscular disorders to stand and to walk with the assistance of an adult. Upsee is a harness system with specially engineered sandals that allow the adult and child to step in sync. How about Sesame Phone? This is the first completely touch-free smartphone that allows people with limited or no use of their hands to make calls, send emails, and engage on social media by responding to voice and head movements. There's Talk It and Voice It. This is a device designed to work on any mobile or wearable device. This is a voice recognition app that allows individuals with speech or language impairments to communicate in their own voices by translating unclear pronunciations in any language into more widely understood speech. There's Project Ray Smartphone that is controlled by voice and touch. This smartphone gives people who are blind or visually impaired the ability to make phone calls, access apps, read and send text messages and emails, set calendar reminders, and use GPS navigation. And finally, there's iMusic, and this is my favorite. It translates everyday objects into sounds and pitches, basically music. And this enables people who are blind or visually impaired to see through hearing the music as they walk around. Each one of these inventions breaks down the accessibility barriers for people around the globe. Now, what do these all have in common? Well, first and foremost, they will benefit people with physical challenges to live fuller and richer lives by breaking down accessibility barriers. Secondly, each of these technologies, each of these miracles, really, were developed in Israel. These innovations represent just a sampling of the cutting-edge technologies coming out of Israel that have not only improved the lives of millions with disabilities in Israel, that's 1.7 million in the Israeli population of 9 million, but millions more around the world. Last Thursday, as I mentioned a moment ago, we celebrated Yom HaAtzmaut, Israel's Independence Day. And on such occasions, our thoughts often focus on what Israel represents for the Jewish people in light of its history. Those lessons have been made clear during the war in Ukraine as thousands of Jews and non-Jews, alike, have found haven in the land of Israel. Our people has had a long and difficult history in Ukraine, and it was not so long ago that Jews had nowhere to go to escape from Ukraine during the Shoah. So watching events unfold today is a true cause for celebration. Israel represents a great many things. But it is important for us to also be aware of the many ways that Israel and Israeli innovations have made a difference across the globe. Each of these inventions that I spoke about today will change the life of a person and should stand as a reminder on this, the 74th anniversary of the founding of the modern state of Israel, that Israel represents a blessing to not only the Jewish people, but to the world itself. All of us should take pride in the fact that along with these developing technologies, Israel is a leader in the care for those who have some sort of physical challenge or disability. The State of Israel is a model of how to ensure that those in wheelchairs, those who may have sight or hearing impairments, can participate in the larger society. The question that I would pose to you this morning is why this is. Where does this spirit of helping come from that is so prevalent in the land of Israel? And I believe that part of it is derived from this week's Torah reading, this hashkafat olam, this worldview is very much present in the words of the Torah reading that Levi and Sydney chanted so beautifully. As our B'nai Mitzvah made clear today, this portion of Kedoshim presents a vision of a truly holy society, one in which the poor are cared for, alongside of the land, alongside of the animals. But this portion also commands the Jewish people to be aware of people with special needs. Lo tikaleh choresh, you shall not insult the deaf. V'lifnei iver lo titen michshol, and in front of the blind do not place a stumbling block. Now you might just read these laws as statements about being unkind, about being mean-spirited towards those who have sight and hearing challenges. But that's not how the rabbis saw these commandments. For them, they represented a hashkafat olam, an entire worldview about how to treat a person with physical challenges. We insult the deaf when we do not do everything in our power to help them participate with the hearing population. We put a stumbling block before the blind when we do not make their way accessible. I believe that the spirit of our portion, these laws and the broad way in which they are interpreted, have permeated the hashkafat olam, that worldview of Israelis, religious and non-religious, and have inspired them to be leaders in the world of accessibility. Now, there are other reasons for this as well, including the number of injuries sustained in the military. But the sense that the population has a chiyuv, that Israelis have an obligation to help, to be involved, to not look away, that, I believe, comes from the Torah itself.